Welcome back, everybody, to Culz Reviews and episode 6 of our Goosebumps deep dive. This week we got Nolan, we got David, and we got a ghost next door, or in this case, a girl next door, I guess is the title. Uh, which is did she even live next door? Was that established in the episode?
She doesn't live next door, but it is called the Ghost Next Door still.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the girl next door.
Nope.
I was very confused.
Yeah, it's either way. No, she did not live next door though. Can confirm, or at least they didn't say.
Yeah, no, the episode is titled "The Ghost Next Door."
Okay, good. That makes more sense because the whole time I was like, why did they change it? But yeah, it picks up pretty much where we left it off last episode with Hannah and Devin in a trance where Hannah's trying to lead him to the fort. And his group of friends and sister go to watch the lost tape at their grandmother's nursing home. And yeah, chaos ensues, I suppose. David, you read Ghost Next Door, though. How does this inspire anything from that?
This is one of the better Goosebump books, definitely in the beginning. It's a fantastic one with one of the best twists. Very almost reminiscent of The Sixth Sense, because the main character you follow the whole time, she thinks that this boy that's been showing up is possibly a ghost. And then you find out at the end that Hannah is actually the ghost, and she died in a house fire.
What a twist!
Yeah. It was very good. So obviously they took the name Hannah to keep up with us, and that, she's a ghost. But no, it was really good. This was one of the better TV series episodes as well, back with the original one in the 90s when they made out of this. It was a very good episode. So it comes from a line of very well done stories. This one was okay. I think we have all kind of agreed that there was a lot of information in this because you learn about what actually happened with the parents disappearing and everything.
Yeah.
But as far as plot story-wise, it doesn't really move things forward very much. There's not a lot of progression. It's more backstory to kind of set up for the next two episodes that are basically the finale.
I was gonna say setting up for the finales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was because that's exactly that. Like how I felt about that was that I was like, oh, okay. I was like, it's not really progressing anything necessarily, but it is like filling in the gaps of what happened, right? And it's also one of those things, like, I just kind of want to say that one lady is not nice. Kids are not nice in general to like other kids, but it was just one of those ones that I was like, man, that lady was
Jen.
Alex's mom.
Yeah, Jen.
Her name. Yeah, she was a
yeah, like she wasn't she didn't even want, like, the other kids didn't even want her there, and she just kind of forced her way into it.
Yeah, it's just that, and that, yeah, I was like, man, she was not a nice lady back in the day. Like,
I can understand why she didn't want the tape seen by a lot of people.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it did not leave her in a good light.
It did not, right? But I mean, like, even more so than that, like, if she did watch it, you know what I mean? Like, like, she kind of knows the truth, you know what I mean? And she doesn't want anybody else, I'm sure, like, questioning her, like, asking her about it or whatever. But I do like the comment, your mom just kept this hidden under a rock, like.
And she literally did.
Literally did. Like that one made me kind of chuckle a little bit. But yeah, it was just yeah, she was not nice as a kid. But it was crazy, like the like found footage kind of thing, the old school camcorder kind of look and all that.
Yeah, I would say tonally this feels a whole lot different because of the found footage and the no music, because the last ones were very much musically infused. This one is very much a standard, like, what's it called?
Score?
Yeah. And
to some degree, yeah.
And really, it's not. There was the jump scare music, I guess, at one point, down in which that's what they're going with as far as the name of the next one, and that's the only reason. That's Camp Nightmare.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that's obviously now the area that everything's happened at. They've dubbed it Camp Nightmare.
Camp Nightmare.
Yeah, so it's nothing like the book.
No, because the book, it's an actual camp.
Yeah.
And
which
again,
I guess they
feel like Camp Nightmare could have been an entire series of its own.
Yeah,
or at least a season.
Had a lot of fun with that one.
Obviously now it kind of makes sense why the last episode is where they're going with it. Maybe at least title-wise. because those two books from Series 2000 were about like aliens and stuff.
Oh.
As far as the body squishers, and we see an alien, I guess, if you want to call it that. At least that's what I took away from it. David's seen the episodes, so he knows if it is or isn't an alien. But as far as my first watch, and only going as far as this episode right now, I was like, oh, it's an alien. That's kind of what I took away from it.
I mean, kind of. I guess I don't know. I don't know if I would say it's like an alien or not, but it did have more of the extraterrestrial feel to it. But at the same, because like it's one of those ones like it's too not mystical, but it's too like organic matter kind of thing to be like anything for like from Earth. You know what I mean? Like it's not like an ancient something or other, right? Like it has that like otherworldly like feel to it, I guess, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah. When I saw the alien, I don't know, the whole episode to me felt like you mixed, for the American audiences, Quarantine or Wreck, if you know the original, with like Species and Starship Troopers, just in the design of the alien or whatever it was. It's very odd. I don't know. I didn't hate it. It's so. I thought this was going to be a Devon-centric episode, just because it's kind of where it felt like it was leading.
Kind of like leading to it, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was more Matt's episode and Hannah's, obviously.
I think what was most interesting is that we did see that nobody else can see Hannah.
Oh yeah.
Have we come to that conclusion that
What about
nobody else saw her there? Only
not
he
even
did.
Trey.
I don't think so. I don't remember if Trey did or not, but I know that none of the rest of like the kids did.
Okay, because I was gonna say like, because Trey said he's like I was also there, like like.
Yeah, I don't know about Trey, but I know the other kids didn't see it, and then she just like plummets into the ocean.
Speaking of which, though, do we think that Trey? Yeah, do we think that Trey is like a clone or something? Like you know what I mean? Like
I can't tell you because I know what it is.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you do, because it's one of those ones that I in my heart of hearts, like I feel like he's a weird clone replacement that isn't activated.
Well, we also see in this episode that the dad gets literally melted and evaporated, and then at the end of the episode, he is grown in one of those pods.
Right. He kind of
the same place that the other kids that all evaporated as well.
He finally made his way back. It's full circle or whatever, right? But yeah, I was like, I just thought that was wild. Is that me? Yep. Just helping you along, just melting you down. Yeah. Maybe I missed something. Who is that lady? The one that was like melting him.
So she's appeared a couple times. The biggest one was in the hospital where she was like injecting Trey with something or taking samples or something from him after he was brought back.
They found him or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen her a couple of times. I will tell you, the next episode shows her past.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, find out. Yeah,
I was like
more about her.
This lady she like kind of popped up here and there, but clearly she knows what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? And I was like, but I don't know who she like. Whomst are you? You know, like what's going on here? Okay, so that's cool. Good to know that it's they'll tell you eventually.
Yeah, you'll get to find out more about what she's doing.
What's going on?
What about like cast interactions? Because for a large portion of this episode, like the cast we've been following is just stuck on a couch, and I felt like their interactions felt not very good. Just kind of wooden. I thought the kids in the like found footage portion, I thought were more
they were
believable.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? I think the Indian kid, the younger in the found footage, like I think he looks Indian, from like India. He was cool. He was funny. I liked his acting. That dude was pretty good. And it was one of those ones that even the other actors like in the found footage stuff was quite fantastic.
Yeah, I think they had more chemistry almost than the main kids.
Right, than the main ones. Well, and it's just one of the, because like you're kind of right. Like it's hard to just kind of like emote like sitting on a couch. You know what I mean? Like it's just everyone's here like, oh man, something happened. Oh, like I don't. There's only so much you can really do because you're just watching an old found footage movie. It's like it's not like you can, oh, this is happening live. Like we can go down, you know what I mean? Go down there and save them or do like whatever it is. It's just there's only so much you can do. Oh my God, Grandma, are you watching this? Like, oh, you know.
My big question is like, so they're watching this found footage. The girl's name is Hannah. It gets said multiple times.
Hannah.
And they know that's where Devin went, but they wait till they watch the whole thing to be like, wait a minute, where did he go? Like,
oh, yeah. I mean, you gotta create a little bit of drama, I guess, right?
But that's fair because you wouldn't automatically jump to, oh no, this girl from decades ago is now here with like.
There's multiple people named Hannah. Like, yeah, it's exactly that. You don't
until you see the weird stuff happen at the end of that video. I get why they wouldn't jump to, oh my God.
Oh God, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I did like CJ's comment though. It makes sense because look at all the weird stuff that's been going on. This is like the least weird thing that's happened. Like,
right? Like once you start putting stuff together or whatever, like adding it up, you're like, you know, this is kind of not weird if I'm being honest. Yeah, it's just that's crazy though. Just a bit at the end, like just comes out like because like I'm watching this right, like the found footage stuff, or I was like, because I was like thinking about it, I was like, did she go down there to like grab the footage, like in the hole and all that? You know what I mean? Like, because I was like, how did they find this? This lady just, you know, Hannah fell in the hole and all that kind of, and then like the fact that she's like running up the steps or whatever and just essentially like jumps out of the hole and then just gets whoosh, like snatched. And you're like, ooh, you almost had it. But yeah, because I was that was the one thing I was worried about the whole time, just confused on trying to like figure out how the hell they got the tape or how she like found it. Yeah, and I was like, she didn't go down in the hole or whatever, and if she did, like that's dumb, and she probably wouldn't have lived. So it's like there's got to be some way. Like I was wondering if maybe she's like running and like throws it up the hole or something. But yeah, the whole like running out of the hole and then just getting grabbed and snatched back in. My thing is like, so if she's there, right, where is everybody else? Like all the other kids, like.
Well, Maddie got like melted like right away in episode 1, if you remember. Like as soon as those things came off, his face melted. So I guess some of them were like melting, even though.
That's what things like Devin had the same thing happen. He should have melted. You know.
Well, yeah, they kind of explained that's why he could see Hannah this episode is because of.
Right.
I don't know. Same with Trey. Like Trey like, turned into a car,
whatever, right? Yeah.
And melted. Yeah. And got crushed, and then swam across the water, and then came back.
It's very unclear. Currently, it's very wild.
What do you feel about like his character right now, like his arc, going from like Trey?
Oh,
Junior.
Trey Junior. I don't know, right? And I say this just because like it's like he's in this like weird like transitional kind of thing, and they definitely do this like transitional kind of thing because it goes from like Devin standing there talking to Hannah or whatever, right, or you know Hannah, and then like nobody says he can, like he doesn't even say that he can see her or whatever, right? Just that he's like standing there like by himself. So I don't know, but the more the fact of like they like made it a point for him to go and like save Devin, you know, like keep him like on the ledge. So it's like one of those ones to be like, look, he's changing, you know, like kind of things,
yeah,
right?
They kind of fix their relationship, and I know that they comment like CJ and Frankie are like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Where they say it's weirder than what's been going on is that they're friends now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But it's one of those ones that the whole thing of like, you don't like this guy like in the beginning because he's kind of actually like a douche, and then it's like, oh, he comes back after being, you know, planted whatever. You know what I mean? And like now he's nice, and people can change.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if that sticks or not because we got 2 episodes, and I do wonder if he's really him or if it's something from the fort, like trying to draw the kids there. I don't know.
Right, like I don't know what else to call it, like planticized, but yeah, I just because yes, hashtag same thing, right? Like I was just wondering because the Dr. Schwimmer or whatever, like when he's like all bioed up or whatever, that's like one of the things is like he can't control himself sometimes, right? He's got like that like impulse kind of like differences, but he's still him to some degree, and then
okay. Nolan,
like, sorry, I don't know why I did that.
Nolan, just to save you some potential headache, I'm gonna tell all you guys right now, since you've already brought it up, Keegan. This is 100% an alien story and is not about plants.
Okay, cool. Yeah, even better.
I mean, if you knew the Goosebumps books, the last one, as far as what they titled the episode, makes sense. But because that was an alien 2-part book,
Right, but I feel like a lot of the buildup has not
It's
been
about
pointing,
plants. Yeah.
has not been pointing to aliens.
It's not. Yeah, like it's. I get that feel of it being like supernatural / like extraterrestrial esque.
Yeah, sort of
like,
paranormal. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't immediately go.
It takes
aliens,
a hard. It takes a hard turn.
I'm sure it does.
It's like starting with the next episode. You're almost like, is this the same series?
Is this season 1?
My thing is like, is the so the kids come in, right, to Jen and whoever come in to like grab the tape, and they're like looking around or whatever, like trying to find. Where did the dude in the suit go? He just like pulled a Batman. Like you wouldn't see this dude in the giant like hazmat suit.
Was that a dude or was that the lady?
I don't know. You can't tell. Like it's just you. Just
I thought it was their dad, and then one of them said it was the lady, and I was like, I could have sworn it was the dad.
I'll tell you now, it's the lady.
Okay. Because I was like, it looks like a lit up person, but I couldn't tell if it was the lady or whoever.
The lady. I forgot her name, but yes, it's her. And they don't see her because there is a door in the floor that leads to other stuff.
Okay. Because I was like, dude, how did she pull a Batman on him? Like they literally walked in like 2 seconds. She was like, oh, gotta go.
No, there is other...
To your point, I mean, it's just with how much of a breakneck turn it takes, it just makes the rest of the series just feel a little bit more sloppily written with just how quick this adjustment goes. It's wild.
It's one of those ones like it feels like they got to a point and they go, how do we end this? And it's just like
no, it doesn't. No? It doesn't feel like that. It feels more like they were like, never mind, we want to do this story instead.
We want to just kind of do something different. Yeah.
Like halfway through the writing process, somebody spilled their water over the script and they're like, I guess we'll start over.
No, not even that. It's seriously like, no, it feels like a bait and switch, because up till now it's pretty much been a paranormal / horror kind of series.
Well, it has, right? Because aliens technically supernatural, right? Like it.
No, aliens are not supernatural.
Sorry. Sci-fi is what I meant.
Right.
So it's
it diverts hardcore. It takes a hard right turn into being nothing but sci-fi for the next 2 episodes for the finale.
Which I love sci-fi. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like I feel like to some degree you can't.
And I'm going to tell you right now.
Can't do that,
There are some questions that y'all have had throughout this series that are not going to be answered by the time that final episode plays.
Of course not. I love that. That's my favorite, is unanswered questions. Yeah.
But it doesn't feel good how unanswered they are, though.
It's not like, oh, that's that's mysterious. It's more like, why did this happen? That's stupid.
Yeah. Why did we do this? Why did that? Yeah, no, those are the more terrible ones.
First thing I'm going to tell you. The
amount of loose plot threads in this, it was wild.
I'm going to tell you this right now. You never find out an answer about anything that happened with Trey. How he became like that goo monster thing, and then went into the car. Like, no, none of that is explained.
No, I love it. I love
almost nothing out of the whole monster blood stuff. None of that's explained. It just happened.
I love how it just happened. Like that's it. That's what we're rolling with. Like that's crazy to me. Like what?
Like, don't get me wrong. I still give this series pretty decently, like overall, but. If you really boil it down to what was important, like the story they were telling, this was probably about a 3 or 4 episode season.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Everything else ended up being completely irrelevant, and furthermore, you don't get any reasoning for it. Nope, it just happened.
That's okay. So that's like one of my like huge gripes sometimes, like when it comes to like movies and television, right? It's just
be prepared for it.
It follows the it's like the Chekhov's gun kind of situation, right? It's like, don't show it if you're not gonna like use it or do anything with it, or like what, you know what I mean? It's just like because that's exactly it. You just feel, well, one, as like a person, just like I have so many more questions, unless like the whole point of it is like you trying to speculate, right? Like that's the whole point of this movie, was to make you ask questions, right? Like something like that is okay. But when you don't have like the answers to questions, you know what I mean, to like things that are in the show, or the
it's like a murder mystery movie. where at the very end the killer is revealed to be a character that was never introduced.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like you're
Yeah.
like, how was I supposed to know? You know what I mean? How was I supposed to know that? Like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah,
It's not quite that bad, but it's, Grayson, wouldn't you agree it's pretty close to that kind of feel where it just comes out of nowhere and it's like, this is it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it leaves you like being like, really? That's how it ended for real?
yeah, he's a little.
It's very unsatisfying.
Actually, because it's one of those, like, they do that in. I understand why Dan Harmon hates heist movies, because they do that in like heist movies, right? They show you this one thing or whatever, and then the group gets caught, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but we didn't really get caught." You're like, here's, you know, what I mean, the little extra step that you guys didn't see. Like, here's what happened. Like, it's almost like you're not actually retconning. You're just like fixing problems like in post is what it seems like, of like, oh, this is how the gang gets out of this, or how they don't get caught because somebody did this,
Well,
but we didn't show you that, you know?
Well, at least with like retconning, it still tries to like be, you know, at least connect the stories all the way through. With this, it feels like they had to pre-select like a preset number of stories they wanted to use, and it feels like they added on more just to make it like a bigger series, and then they just slapped an ending on there to make it kind of make sense. It feels very just like duct taped on the very end of it, just to be like, okay, this is a complete product. Enjoy, Goosebump fans. And it's like, well, it's not. You know,
Like we've got enough for, let's see, they asked for 8 episodes. We've got good enough writing for 4.
See, here's the problem. What I would have done is, if the finale that happens, if that's where it was all leading to, there is a significant amount of sci-fi / alien related Goosebump books that you could have done as the other episodes leading up to this, instead of what did lead up to this.
Instead of what leading up to. Well, I mean, that's what it, like, we started from the beginning, right? Of like, you know, don't go in the basement. Like, that's like plant people. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're thinking it is. Like, he's getting, you know, Devin's getting attacked by vines. You know, plants are moving by themselves. They're eating people. Like,
and it turns out to not be a plant-related thing, even though up till this point we've been led to believe this is a plant-related matter.
Right, and it just it's
because we even see in the like found footage background stuff that
That
he
is
always
plants.
wanted to be a botanist.
right. And it's one of those things, like, it just, because it is kind of crazy that like it goes from that to, well, like I said, what you guys are saying is just, it's like aliens now, and it's like, oh, that's a pretty big jump.
The way I feel like they could have put it in is like, yes, it's aliens, but they were using plant matter to like make plant people to replace humans.
Replace people. Yeah, that makes sense.
No,
yeah.
No, not what happens.
But not even, yeah, because I like realistic, because like that's something that makes sense. Is like, oh yeah, we're a plant-based alien race or something like that.
Right, and they were using like the local Earth plants to replace. Right. See, that would have made sense, that they're trying to procreate, like take over. But no, none of that.
Not what they did.
None of that.
So, like, the way I was just thinking about this. No, the way I can put how the series wraps up is like, you know how they stop Devin from jumping off the cliff, where it's just like all of a sudden there's the rest of the crew.
Yes. So it was. It's actually what we were talking about before you hopped in here. Was one of those things that I was like, because Keegan asked me about how I felt about Trey Jr. and how he is now. And I was like, yeah, I love how they become friends, and he's the one that keeps Devin from jumping off the cliff, and you know, it's a whole thing now or whatever, right? He's nice now. People change. So yeah, it was just one of those. I was like, all right, that's a little weird, but you know, we'll see, right? Especially because they were showing like the not clones necessarily, but like the people in the pods, right? So
yeah, the cocoons.
Yeah, the cocoons or whatever, right? And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe he's not Devin, you know, like, or not Devin, he's not Trey. He's like, you know, a alien plant version of himself or something. So,
which would have been cooler than what they did. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is that, like, and David, I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, but with how the series wraps up, it feels very similar to that, where it's like, oh, here we all are, the end. And it's like, all right, that's great. I just wasted, 6 hours of my life watching this show for that. Really? For reals? Like, it's not horrible, don't get me wrong, but you're just like, really?
It leaves something
like,
to be desired.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you're just like, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, you just feel a little empty. You're like, eh.
It's like you're playing a really good video game, and it's leading you up to what you know is going to be the final boss fight, and you fight like the mini boss to get to the next area to get to the main boss. But it turns out that mini boss was the main boss,
Was the main boss?
and now the game's over, and you're like,
No,
oh,
you're like, wait a minute, hold
okay.
on. I thought
I
this was
guess
going to be harder. Yeah,
I guess I did it.
interesting. That's a little sad and disappointing. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, but it's one of those ones like you're exactly right. Like this thing did not lead up at all to Aliens,
No.
of some degree. Like
And it's not even like it was something clever where
Right.
it didn't seem to lead up to aliens, but once you know what's happening, you can go back and like see the clues. No, none of that.
Nope, just takes a hard turn, huh? And it's like we're in alien country now.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, to me, it really feels like just like Spider-Man 3, where like, it had a whole plot and then they just slapped Venom in there. Pretty similar, black goo alien out of nowhere. It's very forced in, unfortunately.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it's just like it covers like a lot of stuff out of nowhere. Random characters show up that just prolong it for no reason and make it more convoluted than it needs to be.
It's almost like whoever was the producer of the series showed up when they were like already done writing it and like, I don't care what y'all do this season, but they have to have these books in it, and like threw down 2 alien books and were like, it's got to be on those.
you got to
Like,
those ones.
But sir, we already have, we're going off of Stay Out of the Basement. There's all these. I don't give a shit. It's gonna be these.
You're gonna use these. These are my favorite ones. You're gonna use these.
That's how it felt.
Okay,
like
sir.
it was contractually obligated to make it this for some reason. And they're like, okay, I guess we just kind of mold our other stuff into this.
Well, and because like another thing is like we've been talking about it like through the whole little like show or whatever. Like because in this episode you have what's the sister's name?
Cece.
Yeah, Cece and Alex over there have a quick little little peck or whatever, and it was just like, huh. That
awkwardly,
again,
while the rest of the group is like staring at them as they're like, "Hey, aren't we gonna go check on your dad's decapitated head?"
Right, like there's that, but it was just like but also like the kiss itself was just, I don't know, it didn't feel like they were kind
very
of
forced.
It felt very forced. Yeah, I was like, oh, that doesn't fit there. You know what I mean? Like it's traditionally, like I know it's a trope or whatever, right? To like do the like the what is it, like Princess Bride kind of thing? It's like kiss somebody and then run off, stuff like that. Like I get that, but it just, that one felt really weird and very forced for sure. So because I mean you have the one before the people leave, and then you have the one like something crazy just happened, we almost died, let's make out. So and it was neither of those, and it was just like, huh, okay, that felt very, very forced, but okay, yeah, we're gonna roll with it, continue on.
I don't know how far you guys got into the conversation, so again, sorry about showing up late here. But with this, just like honestly, how this entire series was kind of being built up, like when they got to the scene where like they're in the secret laboratory, I honestly thought it was going to be something where like the government was trying to make like a plant breed or like make a weaponized, plant something or other, and like actually have that be where like the kids found too much, so they had to knock them out and like kept them on ice for whatever reason, or like we're in some sort of like isolation program so they couldn't leak it. And unfortunately, that is more thought than what the actual writers of the series gave this entire series as a wrap up. But it's something.
It's something, huh? I don't know. Now I'm kind of like, we're too far too far into it or whatever, and it's like one of those ones that I'm like, oh man, no turning back now, so I guess I gotta finish it out. But yeah,
I mean, again, it's not bad, it's just jarring.
It's just, it's, you can't, I was gonna say, like, to some degree you can't mix genres like that, right? Or at least not so like quickly,
not without reason.
Yeah, there's not a good turn or whatever here, or like a plausible turn, if you will. Because
does the music come back at least, or is it like from here on
music's
out?
Fine.
No? Okay,
it's fine.
But not as good as the earlier episodes, but meh. I mean, I will say, like, with just how like crap, what was I gonna say? Never mind. Nolan, floor is yours. I totally forgot what I was gonna say.
No, it was gonna be, well, my question was gonna be like I was like hoping like the music does come back, because like this episode was very lackluster on that part. but it was also that David King brought up a good point of like it's like found footage, and you don't really want to put like like songs over like found footage or whatever because it doesn't make any sense to some degree. But if it's me, just because for stupid like fun purposes, it's one of those ones that like during that last little bit, like the essentially the chase scene, like the one where Han like has the camera or whatever, it's like the chase scene. My dumb ADHD brain, I'm thinking that Queen fits there for some reason, even though that's like an 80s song, not like a 90s one, but it's just was one of those ones that I'm like, oh man, having a good time would be a great song to put there for that, because you were definitely not having a good time,
They can't afford Queen.
Yeah, probably not, realistically. Because like the music budget's probably huge already with the stuff that they've used. So yeah, you're probably right.
That's why they were like, hey, let's make a found footage portion, because then we don't have to worry about music that episode.
Probably. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those ones that's what they do, right? Like you have episodes that are relatively contained,
condensed, yeah.
and you have those bottle episodes that save you on money, and I'm sure same thing with like music or whatever, right? Because you got to have a music budget. Some of those songs or rights to those songs are pretty expensive, so it's like, ooh, how do we keep costs down? Well, we don't use any popular songs or anything like fancy like that, and then we have, because like realistically it is a bottle episode, but not quite a bottle episode, if that makes any sense. It's like, because they're all sitting there on the couch, you know what I mean, like watching the video and the footage or whatever, so there's not really a lot of extra movement and set pieces and trying to go outside, do all that kind of, until literally the cliff jump, and you know what I mean, like that's really about it for them, like leaving or like being there. But that's 3 minutes, like tops, like it's not even that long of a scene or whatever, right? It's just essentially keeping them from jumping. And then of course, like everything else that's in the basement bit is I'm sure is probably also relatively contained, like contained, right? As far as like the set and all that kind of stuff goes. So this episode was probably one of the cheaper episodes to do, to be quite honest.
And to more like what David said earlier, I think this was definitely like you can definitely feel where they had to like kind of correct course, because you can kind of feel like some sort of producer came in here and was like, we need to do this, and this story beat. So feels like they had a planned story, and then somebody came in and just flipped the table, and then they just had to try to correct as much as they possibly could. This is definitely evident with just like them trying to make the story happen while still trying to make the overall arc continue on at the same time.
Now, with that, Grayson, do you think that this person / producer, whomsoever it was, came in and looked at David Schwimmer and said, "Pivot, we're gonna pivot into like, aliens"? Pivot. Yeah, pivot. Yeah, I just thought that was dumb, but fantastic at the same time.
I'm really glad that you at least entertain yourself, Nolan.
That's, if I don't entertain myself, who else is going to? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I like having a good time. But I just thought that would be absolutely hilarious. Nope, we're pivoting into aliens. Pivot. So, and well, apparently that's the way it's going, and they're definitely pivoting into aliens.
I mean, honestly,
I fully believe when we see him acting totally different with the eye coming out and then his head cut off and he gets like evaporated and all that, I very much thought that was like a plant version of their dad, that it wasn't him. That it was
I honestly thought there would be like a cocoon or something of him like just hanging out in there.
Right.
Just him chilling, reading a book or something.
I mean,
just have to go through friends reruns.
Is it really?
You literally see him just like chilling in his cocoon, like in his mind, in like a mind version of his lab.
Interesting.
Not even.
I thought you were gonna say he was like chilling, reading the Midnight Library. I was like, wow.
Full circle.
How meta? Yeah.
Just how did we know? Grayson, what did you think of the found footage and how that played out, I guess?
You could definitely tell they were relying heavily on some like 90s TV tropes, just with like the dialogue, the acting. Mm-hmm. I'm here for it. I thought it was fine, but it was definitely you could feel it. You were like, they're just phoning this one in a little bit because it's found footage. They're not relying on this too much. It's near the end of the season, and You know, it's a bottle episode. It's moving the story along, but everybody's kind of invested in everything else going on at this point where we're not going to focus too much on it. So
Yeah.
I thought for what it did story-wise and everything else, it was fine. Again, I don't know why Jennifer wanted to hide the fact that she said that she wanted Tony's boyfriend or brother to die on the videotape. So that felt like a little arbitrary to me. I felt like that was a really weak reason to hide a videotape from somebody for 30 plus years. But you know, hey, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Well, no, I mean, I to some degree I get it, right? Of that, where it's like, oh, well, here's me on videotape. Oh, they're going to the Camp Nightmare. I know where they're going. Whatever, blah blah. I hope they die. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of strong for, you know what I mean, for a hope, right? But at the same time, it was just one of those ones that I was like, yeah, you maybe not want to get caught on video saying that, especially because, like, it's one thing if you say that and everybody sees the video and all that kind of stuff when the kids are alive, but it's a whole nother when, like, you say that and kids are, like, dead, right? Or, like, missing or gone. It's like you kind of put yourself, like, right in the crosshairs for that one.
Yeah,
You don't think it was the yard sale at all? The yard sale didn't affect that at all?
Yeah, no, I thought that was dumb. And definitely, like, what are you doing? Terrible prank, if I'm being honest. But no, it was just one of those ones that, yes, she was definitely not a nice person. She's kind of dickhead. When she was a younger person. I mean, you know, I don't know if she's learned her lesson now, but
she's an alien. No,
she probably is.
I think what kills me is that they had definitive proof that something weird had happened, and that it should have been investigated further by actual authorities. Instead, she just hid it. Not only that, but she let David Schwimmer's character just think he was crazy for the past 30 years.
Yeah, for like 20, 30 years. Yeah, like that part's definitely not cool, you know? And I can definitely see why he's miffed about it. Yeah, it's one of those ones that because I'm sure he spent like a pretty good, like, considerable amount of his life, like
as young as he was,
traumatized.
trying to
figure that out. And traumatized, right? Yeah, exactly that. You know, I'm sure that does a lot of damage to your brain over the years, right? When you're like, no, I know my brother's missing, whatever, blah blah blah, and they're like, you're just crazy, you know, like for 20, 30 years. Yeah, that'll mess you up, man. Especially when it's like coming from her, right? Because she was like, well, you know, did they ever? Is that a question that doesn't get answered on, like, if she's ever watched the video or known?
Are we talking about his mom, or who are we talking about?
Alex's mom. Sorry, the lady that hit it. I can't remember her name.
Jen.
Yeah. Did they ever answer that question?
Not definitively, but I'm sure she watched it and then hit it.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, it's one of those ones, like, they didn't, you know, nobody says anything or brings it up, but it's just like,
one thing that I don't understand. I felt like throughout the series, they were kind of hinting that the mom knew something had happened to her son. When she's like, yes. Oh, you smell like him, or, you know, and that maybe she wasn't actually crazy, that it was caused by that, you know, all this stuff.
Right.
And then she, like, freaks out when they're watching the video, right?
Yeah.
Never brought up again.
One of the most disappointing parts of this entire series. I thought they were going to go somewhere with that, and it was just dropped.
Because I feel like they kept leading up to that she knew more than they thought.
Yeah.
Like she had seen something, or no.
And that's such a good, like, not a cliche, I guess, right? Like, it happens a lot. That's a trope, if you will. But it's one of those ones that, like, that would have made things super interesting. You know, because she is all, you know, that's in the air quotes, like, crazy old people house or whatever whatever center she's in, right? And it's one of those ones that, like, it's a better it's better than just being like, oh, well, she just has, like, dementia. If it was one of those ones that, like, no, because she knows what happens, or, like, something like that, like, she's kind of crazy because of that.
Yeah, like, she got like dementia from some goo that was left over or something.
Something, right? Like, that makes it 10 times better than just being like, oh, well, she just has dementia, and
especially because
and then, like, now we have nothing.
Especially because, like, forgetting things is, like, one of the main things they keep bringing up with these characters after they got, like, possessed or whatever.
And that would make
so you could easily say, like, maybe that's even what happened to their dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, like, but no. After you see her freak out and, like, have to leave the room with her nurse, she's never even mentioned again.
We'll see with like the whole underground like Camp Nightmare thing. I thought it was going to be like a Men in Black situation where they wipe the memory and then like she still retains some of it because it wasn't thorough enough. Yeah, no, it's just there.
That's
just there to be a
I
name
feel
of
like
an
there's so many
episode.
like stupid little loose ends and strings that could have been like snipped or like turned into actual ropes that like lead somewhere that actually work. And I feel like that's, now that you say that, Dave, like I feel like that's one of them. That would have been so much better of a story that way.
Honestly, by the time the series actually wraps up, you'll feel that way about a lot of stuff because there is more than just that in there, unfortunately. But it's not. I'm not saying it's bad, but there is like a lot of stuff where you're like, well, they could have done this, they could have done that. Like that would have been a better story, or if they would have just focused on this one part of the story, it could have been like tied through the rest of the series without an issue. But for some reason, they chose this to be what ties the entire, storyline together. It's
Okay. That's so weird to like have them do that though.
Right.
I will say the only thing you really get a definitive somewhat ending on is the relationship drama.
Of course, because we have to tie up the human element, right? That's the only thing anybody ever cares about.
Relationship, like Devin and Frankie, that relationship that feels like it's over.
You would be surprised.
I mean, I don't know, that this whole episode was like, as far as that relationship, I don't even know what to say about it, because like it just felt like obviously Junior's like trying to like be a different person or whatever.
Well, I don't even know if he's trying to be a different person so much as just.
Don't remember, he says in this episode that he's cool with it now, as long as they don't like flaunt it in front of him.
Yeah, well,
it's not.
I don't know if. Yeah, I don't know if a kid would ever say that, but that seemed.
Well, he's not a kid. Remember, this dude's supposed to be in college.
He's like 22 or whatever. Yeah, he's the guy that hangs out with the car by the high school. That's Trey Jr. for you right there.
The Matthew McConaughey.
He's the college kid dating the high school senior.
Absolutely. Yep.
I brought a case of Keystone Light. Let's get partying, boys.
Oh, jeez.
Trey, he's just the textbook definition of like just a manipulative boyfriend all the way through and through. Just
the older manipulative boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good, is what it is.
No, it's definitely not a good look.
A little problematic.
But hey, that's life.
But yeah, I give this episode probably 7 out of 10. I did like all the backstory. I think the kids did a good job in the found footage part. And it sets you up for the next finale parts.
Yeah, I would probably give this one a 7.5. I thought it was pretty well done. Probably one of the better ones so far. Just overall, the season just feels sloppy, or maybe they had a couple different seasons and they just combined them haphazardly together. I don't know, because the more we get into this, the more I'm like, I feel like there's a good like through line you could have done, but it just feels kind of haphazard. But not a bad episode. If anything, you might want to go watch The Blair Witch now, or Quarantine or Wreck. I would recommend Wreck out of the three of those, but
what other ones? Paranormal Activity, yeah.
Cannibal Holocaust. I don't know.
Found footage ones. What about you, Grayson? What do you get?
Honestly, it's a solid 7. Like the acting's not bad. Everything's pretty much there. It's not my favorite episode. I think we've all kind of made that clear, but yeah, it's pretty mid. It's entertaining. If you like Goosebumps, it's got some of that flair there, but it's definitely the crescendo of Act 2 trying to lead into Act 3 and trying to wrap up the series as clean as it can with what it has coming up.
Overall, relatively the same. It's one of those ones that going like a little bit against the grain here, probably a little bit lower rating for me. But I give this one a 6. It was informational to say the least. But at the same time, it was one of those ones that like, I don't know. I felt like they tried to make it exciting with like the chases and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. It felt a little lackluster for me. But that's, like I said, that's just me and my brain. but it is one of those ones that it's interesting that they take such a hard turn right into the sci-fi versus what we've been getting for the past whatever, right? Because space goo is significantly different than plant people goo, and here's this random ghost lady trying to lure you to your death. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what was that going to accomplish?
That's a great question.
If Devin had jumped, what would that have accomplished for Ghost Girl?
You're never gonna find out.
It's so what I mean. Like, what was the point? Is this thing? Does the aliens just hate kids? Like, try to kill themselves or what? Like, yeah. Again, another question that just like, why? You know. But yeah, like I said, so overall for me, I agree with Grace. It was just pretty mid for me. So I'm giving it about a 6 for this one. And I hope the last 2 episodes, like, from what we talked about or whatever, might not be the strongest or whatever, but hopefully there's a decent finish for us at the end, Keegan, since we're the only ones I don't think have watched it yet. But yeah, it's one of those ones that I'm sure it'll be decent, but it's probably not going to be anything like the books that they're based on or anything like that. So seeing as like this one, again, just used the name for the most part and didn't really, she wasn't the ghost next door necessarily. It was just that twist or whatever, right? Of like, oh, this person's a ghost, but you didn't know it, kind of situations, right?
Yeah. Speaking of which, just like the actual story title, if they were going to like make this a little bit better, whenever Devin got infected with like the actual goo, he should have started seeing Hannah like in random places, like just around his neighborhood, just flashes.
Actually, like
see, but they made a good point. Trey should have also been seeing her.
Exactly.
Yeah, they both got touched by the essentially the goo stuff, right? Like realistically, well,
just imagine if like
they by a plant, but
like just imagine if Trey pulled Devin aside and was like, "Are you seeing the girl too?" Actually built up like him flipping around and being like a friend or something like that. Yeah.
Or like when they're watching the found footage and Trey's like, "Hey, I've seen her before."
Right.
Just something simple like that.
Like that would have been funny, or not funny, but like fun or different. Or like even more so the like the the bonding bit or whatever, right? Like that's how you could have them organically, I think, or at least a little bit more organically become. They don't need to be the bestest of buds or whatever, but to kind of like get over their beef between them or whatever, right? They have that like that bond of like, oh shit, we're the only people seeing this. Like, yeah, you see her? Yeah, I see her. Like it's it kind of gives them something to bond over versus just Trey being like, I'm a different person now.
Exactly.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
Look, ignore what I was doing before. I'm just slightly less toxic.
Right. It's just so it's like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of avenues recently that like in these recent episodes that could have taken to build the bridge a little bit better,
And that's life. That's Goosebumps episode 6. We do got 2 more, and then we will be able to wrap up this series. But if you guys have enjoyed us breaking down episode by episode, we will be back on the Society of Main Characters, right, David? What will we be talking about over there come next month?
Is going to start off in March. We are going to be doing Daredevil Reborn, or whatever they're calling it.
Born Again.
Born Again, that's it.
Rebirth. Yeah.
Rebirth, whatever.
Either way, it looks very, very good. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer recently. If you didn't, go hop in the Discord. It looks super good. It got me super, super hyped. I was feeling it. I was like, oh, okay. Now we look like we're getting somewhere, gentlemen. And it's looking like it's gonna follow a lot of the like the tone from the Netflix ones.
Absolutely, I've heard they're even using the same theme,
which would be great. And you know what I mean, because obviously the Netflix one was top notch as far as like Marvel based characters like TV shows go. I put Daredevil up there in probably the top 3 for that.
Yeah, no, definitely. The original series was really good, so I'm interested to see what they do. Like, seems pretty good, at least from what we've seen. And of course, before that starts, though, if you guys want to also hop over to the Society of Main Characters, we'll be discussing Nolan's recommendation this month, which was Project Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So you still got a little over a week to read it if you guys want to join. And per usual, we do have a Discord now, so if you want to go to the description below, come hang out with us and let us know. Goosebumps Season 2, what has been your favorite episode? Let us know in the comments below.